I knew she was trouble the second she walked into that networking lunch like she owned the room. Not in a bad way, more like the kind of trouble that pulls you in before you realize you're out of your depth. She wore a deep blue blazer, heels that clicked like they had a purpose, and a smile that made every guy at the table straighten his spine. I wasn't immune either. My name's Mark Rivera. I'm 35, based in Tampa, and I co-own a custom home renovation company. Been at it for over a decade, and we're finally the kind of booked out 6 months, busy that earns respect in this town. I don't waste time at Chamber of Commerce lunches unless I think they'll bring in high-end referrals. That day, I walked out with more than business cards. Quick note, before we really dive in, tell me which country you're watching from. Curious to see who else is listening. Her name was Marissa, 32, sharp, ran events for one of those luxury hotel chains you see in downtown skylines. We got seated next to each other thanks to some overeager coordinator. I was halfway through my chicken Caesar when she leaned in and said, "Do you always look like you're ready to fire someone, or is this your networking face?" I damn near choked on a crouton. "I don't fire people at lunch," I said. "Only after coffee." She laughed, loud and unfiltered, the kind of laugh that made you feel like you'd actually earned it. Then we started talking, and it didn't stop. Not awkward small talk, real conversation. She told me about planning corporate retreats in the Keys, the pressure to be perfect, the egos in her industry. I told her about gutting homes, dealing with permits. Why no two projects ever went to plan? We clicked fast. I noticed how she made people lean in, how the waitstaff smiled wider around her. Even the old-timers at our table were hanging on her words like she'd sprinkled gold dust on them. She had that thing, charisma, polish, whatever you call it. And under all that charm was someone clearly hungry to prove herself. I knew the type. Hell, I was the type. We kept running into each other after that. Mixer at the Marriott, charity event downtown, even a builder's expo. It was always casual at first, always just saying hi. But there was tension, spark. We both felt it. 3 weeks later, we had dinner. 2 weeks after that, I was waking up at her place half the week, and she was leaving her flat iron in my bathroom drawer. We weren't rushing, but we weren't holding back either. She still had her condo across town, and I liked my space too much to jump straight into anything. But we were spending most of our time together without even talking about it. I was in deep before I even knew it. And the next time I saw her, she walked in with a duffel bag and said, "You know, your closet's kind of a selfish situation." She said it with a smirk, like it was a joke, but I knew better. We'd just gotten back from a weekend in Charleston, one of those last-minute trips where we booked a boutique hotel and wandered the streets eating shrimp and grits and pretending we knew anything about antiques. On the drive back, she was quieter than usual, looking out the window a lot. I figured she was tired. Turns out she was working up to something. I raised an eyebrow. "Selfish how?" "You've got 4 shelves just for work boots." Mark. "They're different kinds of boots." "And what, I'm supposed to hang my dresses on a door hook?" I laughed, but she didn't. Not really. "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" She leaned against the counter and took a long sip of water before answering. "I think I'm tired of leaving your place at 6 in the morning to go home and change. And I think your house is big enough for 2 toothbrushes, maybe even a flat iron." "Don't ruin my museum," I said, half joking. She smiled, but there was a bite in it. "I already told you it feels too perfect, like a catalog. I'd be doing you a favor." That stuck with me. Too perfect. She'd said something like that a month ago, walking through the living room, her heels clicking across the oak floors. I spent 2 years refinishing myself. The whole house was my project, restoring an old 1920s craftsman, room by room, by hand. I knew every nail and groove in those walls. The idea of someone coming in and shaking all that up? I'd be lying if I said it didn't mess with me a little. Still, I nodded. "Let's take it slow." She didn't push, just nodded back like she'd already won. 3 weeks later, her condo was listed, and her stuff was in boxes. She didn't bring much, said she wanted a fresh start, sold her old furniture, donated a lot of clothes, showed up with 6 boxes, her coffee machine, and a beat-up jewelry box she said she'd had since high school. I cleared out half the closet, moved my office into the garage, and made space under the sink. She called it compromise. I told myself it wasn't a sacrifice, and for a while, It felt right. She lit candles at night, played jazz while cooking, rearranged the bookshelves so the spines lined up in height order. She bought throw pillows, too many if you ask me, and swapped out the industrial bar stools I loved for these weird wicker things that looked like they'd fall apart if you sat wrong. I told her the house looked like a hotel lobby now. She told me it finally had life. There were moments, though, small things, that rubbed wrong. She asked why I didn't hang any family photos, why I kept the guest room so bare. One night, she stood in the hallway staring at the framed blueprint I had hanging there. "You ever think about tearing the whole thing down and starting fresh?" she asked. I looked up from the sink. "The house?" She shrugged. "Sometimes rebuilding is easier than restoring." I didn't answer that, just dried my hands and changed the subject. It wasn't all tension. We cooked together, watched bad TV, argued about the thermostat. She liked the bedroom cold enough to hang meat. I kept waking up freezing, but we laughed, worked it out. We were building something, or so I thought. Then one night, she came home late from a hotel launch party, kicked off her heels, flopped onto the couch and said, "By the way, I need to go to Vegas next month. Big summit thing, work stuff." I asked, "With who?" She said, "Anthony." I set down the sponge and looked at her. "Anthony?" She popped the cork on a bottle we'd been saving since Charleston and held it up like it was some kind of celebration. "Yeah," she said, pouring 2 glasses. Corporate picked him to represent the brand. I took the wine, but didn't drink. "Anyone else going?" She sat down at the island and swirled her glass. "Nope. Just the 2 of us. It's more of a scout trip. Site tours, meet and greets with suppliers, that sort of thing." That was a load of corporate speak if I ever heard it. "Isn't that something the regional manager usually handles?" I asked. She rolled her eyes. "Why are you making that face?" "I'm just asking questions, Marissa." "No, you're reading into it, again." I leaned against the sink. "You sprung this on me with 0 notice. It's a weekend trip with your boss, and suddenly it's just the 2 of you. You don't think that's worth a conversation?" She took a long drink. "You're overreacting." "Am I?" "Because last time we talked about Anthony, you said he was charming in a creepy way." "That doesn't mean I'm sleeping with him." I stared at her. She looked furious, hands tight around the glass, shoulders tense. But there was something else under it. Guilt, maybe, or just that flash of defensiveness that shows up when someone's hiding something. "I didn't say you were," I replied, "but I know his type." She slammed her glass down. "God, you sound just like my father." I blinked. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Always assuming the worst, always needing control. I'm not your damn property, Mark. That one hit, hard. "I never treated you like property," I said, voice low. "I treat you like someone I trust." "Well, maybe trust me enough not to make me explain every professional decision I make." I stepped back. "You want to go? Go. But don't expect me to act like this is normal." She grabbed her glass again, drained it, and walked straight past me. "You know what?" she said over her shoulder. "I don't need permission." I didn't follow her, just stood there in the kitchen while the last bit of cork floated in my untouched wine. The next couple of days were quiet. She didn't bring it up again. I didn't push. But something shifted. I caught her smiling at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. She packed extra dresses, took way more lingerie than made sense for a business summit. I kept noticing these little things that didn't add up. Monday night, she came out of the bedroom holding 2 pairs of heels. "Which do you like better for dinner with executives, black or nude?" I looked up from my laptop. "Depends. What's the dress code at the spa?" She paused, just for a second, then gave a tight smile. "Cute." I didn't say anything else. Tuesday morning, I drove her to the airport. She tossed her roller bag into the back seat like it was just another trip. She was humming something, some pop song, and tapping her phone screen non-stop. We didn't speak much on the drive. Tampa traffic was light, but the air in the truck felt like wet cement. As we pulled up to the terminal, she finally looked over. "You're really not going to say anything?" I kept my eyes on the road ahead. "You said it all for both of us." She unbuckled slowly, like she was waiting for a last-minute save. I didn't offer one. At the curb, she hesitated. "I'll call you later." "Sure." She shut the door without looking back. I watched her walk into the terminal, heels clicking fast, ponytail swinging with purpose. like she had nothing to hide. Then I pulled away, tires rolling slow, hands clenched on the wheel. She texted me when she landed, just a thumbs up and made it, like this was some regular work trip. That was Friday. By Saturday morning, she was back in the house like nothing had happened, playing soft jazz on the Bluetooth speaker while folding bikinis on the bed. She moved around the bedroom humming to herself, not a single hint of guilt or tension in her face. I stood in the doorway watching her fold one of those lacy little things she never wore around me unless she was trying to win an argument. She looked up and smiled. Think I should take the blue one or the red? Which matches better with corporate networking? She didn't flinch, just grabbed the red and dropped it in her suitcase. You really need to relax. She walked past me into the bathroom. I didn't follow. Sunday morning, we were halfway through breakfast when her phone buzzed across the counter. It lit up face up. Anthony, don't forget the massage at 6. Booked us both. She snatched it before I could say a word. I raised my eyebrows. Didn't realize massages were on the agenda. God, Mark, it's just a spa thing. Every hotel in Vegas does that. With your boss. She shoved the phone in her bag. Do you want me to do this job or not? I want you to be honest. Then stop turning everything into an accusation. She stood up and took her coffee down the hall. I just sat there staring at the tile I'd laid myself, wondering what the hell happened to my house. That afternoon, I called Luis. He's an old friend from high school, turned real estate lawyer. No fluff, no sugarcoating. Tell me straight, I said. She's not on the deed. If I want her out, what do I need to do? He exhaled loud. You sure you want to go down that road? I'm done, man. I just need to know my options. Well, legally you're solid. If her name's not on anything and you didn't sign any kind of lease or partnership agreement, you can evict. Civil process. Give her notice, pack her stuff, change the locks once it's processed. How long does that take? Depends, but if she's not contesting it, fast. Listen, Mark, are you doing this because you're angry or because you're ready? I didn't answer right away, just stared out the garage window at my truck, the same truck I'd driven her to the airport in 3 times now. I'm not angry, I said finally. I'm done. He sighed again. I'll email you the paperwork. Monday morning, I called a moving crew I'd used on a past project. Told them I had boxes to pack by end of week. Clothes, cosmetics, some light furniture. No rush, but it had to be done before Sunday. By Tuesday afternoon, I'd set everything in motion. Legal notice drafted, email sent, movers confirmed. A contact card for a realtor slipped inside a sealed envelope, just in case she wanted help finding her next place. She left that evening with a kiss on the cheek and a half-hearted, wish me luck. I didn't say good luck back, just carried her bag to the car, shut the trunk, and got behind the wheel. At the terminal, she adjusted her sunglasses and pulled her roller bag out. See you Sunday, she said, like it was just another goodbye. Sure, I said. Sunday. Then I watched her disappear into the terminal again. Heels, blazer, that same confident walk, and drove straight home. Straight to work. I pulled into the driveway just after 4 and saw a car already parked in front of the house. Silver Honda. Florida plates I didn't recognize. When I stepped inside, there she was. Angela, Marissa's older sister. She was standing in my kitchen like she owned the place, arms crossed, wearing dark scrubs and a ponytail that said she didn't have time for nonsense. No smile, no, hey Mark. Just straight to it. We need to talk. I dropped my keys in the bowl. Everything okay? Depends. You got a minute? I nodded, motioned toward the table. Coffee? Already had 3. She pulled out a chair and sat down like she wasn't waiting for permission. I sat across from her, still in my work boots, still dusted in sawdust from the job site. I was in Vegas this weekend, she said. Nursing conference, Caesars. Not far from Marissa's hotel. I didn't say a word. I stopped by the resort Saturday afternoon. Figured I'd surprise her. We don't talk much anymore, but I thought, what the hell, right? I leaned forward. You saw her? She nodded, then reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. I saw a lot more than that. She turned the screen toward me. There they were, Marissa and Anthony walking out of a spa in white robes, laughing like they were on vacation. His hand was on her lower back, her head tilted toward him like she was leaning into it, not a trace of business attire anywhere in sight. Angela swiped to another photo. This time, they were poolside. She had sunglasses and a drink in hand. He had his shirt off and was sitting way too close for colleagues. My chest went cold. Angela's voice cut through it. This wasn't a summit. Hell, this wasn't even subtle. I cleared my throat. Thanks for showing me. There's more. She dropped the phone on the table and looked me straight in the eye. This isn't the first time she's pulled something like this. 2 years ago, she flew out to LA for a training that didn't exist. That guy didn't work out either. I let that settle for a second. You're telling me she's done this before? Angela nodded. She talks a good game, but Marissa's always been more charm than follow-through. When it gets tough, she jumps ship or changes the story. I sat back, arms crossed, jaw clenched so tight it hurt. She kept her eyes on me. I should have said something sooner, she added. But she's my sister, and I didn't know how far it had gone. I looked at the photos again. Same woman I'd helped hang curtains 3 weeks ago. Same smile. Different story. I appreciate it, I said. Seriously. Angela stood up and grabbed her keys. You deserve better than this circus. If she comes crying to me, I'll tell her the same. I walked her out to the porch. She turned at the last step. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Then she got in her car and drove off. That night, I poured myself a drink and sat in the living room surrounded by her boxes, everything already packed and labeled. I scrolled through my contacts until I found Claire, Marissa's so-called best friend. I hadn't talked to her in months, but she picked up on the second ring. Mark, hey, everything okay? I just have one question, I said. Was there ever a summit in Vegas this week? Silence, then a long breath. No, she said finally. There wasn't. I let that sit. I didn't want to get in the middle of it, she added. But, yeah, I've been hearing things for a while now. I think she got in over her head with Anthony. I'm sorry. I stared at the wall. I'm not surprised anymore. Mark, I got what I needed. Thanks, Claire. I hung up and set the phone down on the counter. The line between gut instinct and hard proof had just snapped clean in two. I stood in the middle of the living room and stared at the last box. It was full of bathroom stuff. Makeup bags, scented oils, 3 different hair straighteners. She rotated like it was a science. I didn't toss a single thing. I wrapped everything the way she'd want it wrapped, like I was still trying to avoid a fight that already happened. The rest of her stuff was stacked along the wall. 6 boxes total, all labeled bedroom, bathroom, office, closet, misc, neat handwriting, clean tape lines, no drama. On the dining table, I placed a short letter folded next to the legal notice. Nothing emotional, just the facts, the date, the legal grounds, the realtor's number in case she wanted help. I signed my name at the bottom and left it at that. Friday night rolled in, quiet. Sky was overcast. Phone buzzed around 8. Marissa. Guess who's killing it at the mixer? Photo attached. Her in a silver dress, holding a champagne glass, standing beside a banner that said something vague like Global Hospitality Experience 2025. No one else in the shot. I didn't reply. 15 minutes later, she called. I let it ring twice before picking up. Hey babe, she slurred. Music and voices buzzed behind her. Vegas is wild. You wouldn't survive 5 minutes. You sound like you've been celebrating hard. Psh, it's networking. Everyone drinks. She giggled, but it was forced. Her words dragged at the end. Hope you're behaving, she added. Always. She didn't catch the edge in my voice, or didn't care. Well, miss you, she said, and hung up before I could answer. I tossed the phone onto the couch and grabbed my keys. I wasn't sitting in that house another second, staring at boxes and pretending it didn't get to me. Tina met me at the office around 9. She was one of our design consultants, sharp, methodical, no BS. I'd asked her to help me rework the layout for a tricky historic remodel. She brought plans, samples, and a whole binder of elevation sketches. We spread everything out on the conference table. I dove into the details hard, counter heights, flooring options, how to match modern plumbing with a 100-year-old wall. Tina didn't talk much, unless it mattered. I liked that. Halfway through a mock-up, she paused and looked at me. You okay? I shrugged. Getting through the week. She glanced at the corner of the room. I'd left a roll of packing tape and a box marked office. M on the floor. You packing someone out? I nodded. She's gone, just not officially yet. Tina didn't press, just nodded and went back to the plans. After a few minutes, she said, "This layout's got potential, but I'd move the built-ins to the east wall." I leaned over the table and traced her suggestion with my finger. "Yeah, that works." She looked up. "You sure you're not burning out?" I shook my head. "This is the part that keeps me sane." She smiled, but it wasn't pity. It was understanding. We worked until close to midnight, then packed everything up. I locked the office, stepped into the humid night air, and drove home. I pulled into the driveway just before 10. The house was dark, dead quiet. Just the hum of the fridge inside. I'd barely set my keys down when I heard the door open behind me. She walked in with a duffel bag slung over her shoulder, and that same breezy, fake casual smile she used when she was trying to disarm a situation before it started. "Hey," she said, setting the bag down by the couch. "Flight was delayed. I'm wiped." "Long weekend?" "God, yes. So much networking." She kicked off her shoes, walked past the neatly stacked boxes without blinking. Back-to-back sessions, happy hours, hotel reps from all over. I feel like I shook 1,000 hands. I didn't move from the kitchen. I just watched her float across the room like it was any other Sunday night. "Glad you had fun," I said. She looked over, confused. "Fun?" "It was work." I nodded toward the table. "Then you should take a look at what's waiting for you." Her smile faded as she walked over and picked up the envelope. She read the top of the legal notice first, then the short letter underneath it. Her hands stiffened. "What the hell is this?" "It's a notice. You've got 2 weeks to make arrangements." She blinked fast, processing. "You're kicking me out?" "No, I'm ending something that's already over." Wait, what is this even based on? We haven't even talked." "We're talking now." She set the papers down and backed up a step, her voice already rising. "You don't get to blindside me like this. You can't just decide. I can. It's my house. You're not on the deed, and I have every legal right." Her jaw dropped. "Is this about Vegas?" "Marissa, don't insult both of us." She opened her mouth again, then stopped. That's when I saw the flicker of panic. "I can explain." I crossed my arms. "Then go ahead." She hesitated. "Anthony and I were just trying to land a new supplier. We used the spa to talk over details. It wasn't personal." I cut her off. "The spa was personal. So was the pool. So was the champagne." Her eyes narrowed. "You went through my phone?" "Nope, I didn't need to." She flinched like she'd just remembered something. "Angela was in Vegas," I said flatly. "She saw you. She took pictures." That stopped her cold. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. I kept going. "She told me this isn't the first time you've done this kind of thing." Marissa stepped back like the floor shifted beneath her. "I also called Claire." Her head whipped toward me. "You called my friends?" "Claire's the one who confirmed there was no conference. Your lies aren't airtight. They fall apart when you leave too many cracks." Marissa ran both hands through her hair, then laughed, sharp and ugly. "So that's it? You just decided I'm the villain and pulled the trigger?" "I didn't decide anything. You showed me exactly who you are." She marched toward me, eyes glassy. "I made a mistake, Mark. You're blowing this up over something that didn't even mean anything. It meant enough to keep it hidden. I wasn't hiding it. Then why lie?" She tried to grab my arm, then leaned in, voice trembling. "Can we just talk? Really talk? Like before? I messed up. But we're strong, right? Stronger than a mistake." She leaned in to kiss me. I stepped back. "Don't." Her face twisted. "So what? You're perfect? You've never screwed up?" "This isn't about perfect. This is about trust, honesty, respect, basic stuff." She shook her head, eyes welling up now. "You were just waiting to do this. You wanted a reason." "No, I wanted to be wrong." That broke something. She started pacing, hands flying, voice cracking. "You let Angela get in your head. You let Claire poison you. They've always been jealous of what we have." I didn't say anything. Let her spin. "And you must have been watching me somehow, spying. There's no way you knew all this unless you were digging." I looked her dead in the eye. "I didn't need to dig. You left the shovel in my hand and called it a business trip. She stopped pacing, just stood there breathing hard, staring at the boxes like they were explosives. After a long silence, she whispered, "You'll regret this." I didn't answer. She stormed down the hall, grabbed her purse, and came back stomping. Her voice went cold. "You think this is over? It's not. Not even close." Then she slammed the door behind her. 3 nights later, I threw on a blazer and headed to the Bayshore Real Estate Gala. Big networking event downtown, black tie crowd, overpriced drinks, and handshake deals that made or broke quarters. I wasn't in the mood, but my name was on the sponsor list, and backing out would have raised questions. I showed up, shook hands, smiled when I had to, and kept my bourbon close. The ballroom at the West River Grand was packed. Chandeliers, white marble floors, live jazz floating over clinking glasses. I was talking with Mr. Harlan, gray suit, 50 years in development, owned half the block I built on, when I saw her. Marissa. She stumbled through the side entrance in a red dress 2 sizes too tight and heels she could barely stand in, hair messy, eyes glassy. I froze. Mr. Harlan kept talking about zoning delays, but my focus snapped to the disaster walking in. She spotted me almost instantly and made a beeline, cutting through waitstaff and confused guests. "You piece of shit!" she screamed, right there in the middle of the floor. Every head turned. She reached me in seconds, face flushed, mascara smudged. "You ruined everything! I lost my job, Mark. Anthony let me go." "Marissa," I kept my voice even. "This isn't the place." She jabbed her finger into my chest. "You told people. You poisoned Claire. You used my sister. Everyone turned on me because you couldn't handle me doing better. You were fired because of your choices, not mine. Don't act innocent. You wanted to humiliate me. Well, guess what? I hope you rot in this stupid little town with your sad fixer-upper and your sad fake charm." Her voice cracked, and suddenly she was sobbing, loud and sloppy. She clung to my jacket like we were in a soap opera. "I loved you," she cried. "I gave up everything, and you threw me out like garbage." I looked over her shoulder. Security was already moving in from the ballroom entrance. I raised my hand slightly, calm but firm. "Ma'am," one of the guards said, "you need to come with us." "No!" she shrieked, twisting away. "He ruined my life. He's the reason I lost my job. He turned everyone against me." I didn't say a word, just stood still while they pulled her back. "Mark, please," she screamed. "Don't let them take me out like this." I stayed quiet, not cold, just finished. The crowd parted as they walked her out, still sobbing, heels scraping the marble. As the room settled, Mr. Harlan stepped up beside me, sipping his whiskey like nothing happened. "Well," he said, "that could have gone worse." I exhaled through my nose. "She's been having a rough year." He gave a short nod. "Handled it well, better than most. Some men would have lost it." "Didn't feel like losing was an option," he chuckled. "Smart man. Let's talk next week. I've got a waterfront deal opening up. Might be your kind of project." "Looking forward to it." He walked off toward the bar. That Friday, his assistant called. Contract landed in our inbox by noon. Biggest one we'd had in 3 years. 2 days after the gala, she showed up at my office. Middle of a project, walked through with 2 new clients, going over floor plans and structural options. The front desk buzzed me. "Marissa Rivera's here, says it's urgent, something about your house." My gut said it was a stunt. I excused myself, walked out front, and there she was. Hair done, full makeup, too polished for a crisis. "What's the emergency?" I asked flatly. She blinked like I'd skipped a line in her script. "The hallway light. There was a short or something. I smelled smoke. There's no power running to that fixture. I capped it off 2 weeks ago." She froze. "I wired it myself," I added. "Try again." Her voice cracked a little. "Can we talk?" "Just 5 minutes." "Somewhere private." "Not happening." I said 5 minutes. And I said no. She glanced past me into the office. My team was at their desks. 2 clients were still in the meeting room behind me, watching through the glass. "Mark, please." I didn't budge. "What do you want, Marissa?" Her jaw tightened. "A conversation. You owe me that." "I don't owe you anything." Her voice got louder. "You think you're above it all?" You think you can just cut me off and pretend none of it mattered? Lower your voice, I said, calm but sharp. You're a coward, she spat. You hide behind your crew and your contracts and your big man act, but you're scared to face what we had. I stepped aside, motioned toward the door. You need to go. She didn't move. You used me, she snapped louder now. I gave up everything, my condo, my furniture, my time, for you. You just threw me out like I was trash. I looked her in the eye. What did you really give up, Marissa? A couch you didn't like? A condo you were already listing? Her face went pale. Every compromise came with a punchline. Every plan had a disclaimer. You didn't sacrifice, you just rearranged. She looked around and realized people were listening. Clients, staff. Her face crumpled. I loved you. No, I said. You used me to look stable, and when it stopped being convenient, you found a distraction. Tears hit her cheeks fast and messy. I don't have anyone left. That's not my fault. She stepped forward like she was going to hug me. I stepped back. Don't do that, I said. She stood there, arms shaking, trying to pull herself together. The silence in the office was loud. Even the phones had stopped ringing. Leave with what's left of your dignity. She wiped her face, turned slowly, and walked out the front door without another word. The moment it shut, I turned to the team. No panic, no explanation. Let's get back to it. Clients nodded. My staff kicked back into gear like nothing happened. Later, one of them said, "Handled like a pro." I didn't respond. I just walked back into the meeting room and picked up where we left off. Rain hit the porch hard that night. No thunder, just steady, cold sheets slapping the wood like a slow reminder. I opened the door, and there she was, soaked through, holding a plain white envelope in one hand and nothing in the other. No umbrella, no excuses. Marissa looked thinner, worn down. No makeup, no smile, no fake confidence. Just her and the sound of water dripping from her hair onto the mat. I'm not here to fight, she said. Can I talk for 2 minutes? I didn't answer, just stepped aside. She walked in slowly, eyes scanning the living room like it had changed. It hadn't, not really. But Tina's jacket was hanging on the hook by the door, and I saw her notice it. I owe you this, she said, holding out the envelope. I totaled everything I took, what I used, what I promised to help cover. This is all of it. I didn't come here to win anything, just to do what's right. I took the envelope but didn't open it. She swallowed hard. I've been going to therapy. Real therapy, not that fake life coach crap I used to brag about. I finally saw what happened, what I did. I stayed quiet, she went on, voice soft. Anthony used me. There was never going to be a future there. I told myself he saw something in me. But really, he just saw what he could take. You knew what you were doing, I said. I did, and I hated myself for it. She looked at the floor, then back at me. You were right about all of it. I didn't need to be right. I needed to be respected. She nodded. I didn't know how to do that. I gave her a long look, then opened the front door again. Thank you for coming. I hope you stay on the path you're on. Her eyes got glassy, but she didn't cry this time. She just nodded again, turned, and walked into the rain without looking back. I shut the door and stared at the envelope in my hand. Sat on the couch for a minute, then I tore the check straight down the middle. Some debts don't get paid with money. I stood, walked through the kitchen, and headed out back to the workshop. Smelled like sawdust and pine, same as always. Laid out the plans for a custom walnut table I'd been designing for weeks. Tina and I had drawn it up together. Clean lines, solid joinery, no shortcuts. I turned on the work light and got back to it. The house felt like mine again. Quiet, solid, honest.